Now, on Wednesday, nearly 700 workers were detained by immigration at 7 different Koch Foods poultry plants. So these are processing plants where they, of course, work with agricultural products. Now, this had the result of leaving hundreds of kids without their parents or guardians as these people were detained. Now, as of right now, 300 of them roughly have been released. I'm not sure why. So now the Trump administration, they said in response to this that this was a massive law enforcement action against people who were breaking the law. I mean, it's the law that you can't be here illegally. So we're going to go and we're going to arrest you if we know where you're at. Now, what's interesting about this is that the billionaire CEO of Koch Foods is still on the loose. But he's the one that let them hire all these undocumented immigrants. He must almost have certainly known. And so it's kind of interesting why they don't go after the person who's at the very top. Well, I have a couple of billion of reasons why. But another interesting part and report comes from Think Progress. Now, they looked into this, and I got to give them credit for it. They looked into this company and they found that last year, this same plant, the same company, settled a $3.75 million lawsuit for racial discrimination, natural origin discrimination, that's interesting, and sexual harassment against Latino or Latina workers in that very same Morton facility. Well, now that is very interesting indeed. More information. According to the suit brought by the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, supervisors touched and or made sexually suggestive comments to female Hispanic employees, hit Hispanic employees, and charged many of them money for normal everyday work activities. So that was their version, apparently, of the company store. You need some PPE, personal protective equipment? Yeah, that'll be $10 out of your check. Interesting. Now, many workers also were reportedly either discharged or subjected to other forms of retaliation when they complained. And so what happened, of course, is that they brought this lawsuit against this company and they won. And then that lawsuit was settled. Now, here are the terms of that. As part of the settlement, Koch Foods not only paid out a massive sum to the victims, but also agreed to implement training for employees and set up a 24-hour hotline for reporting discrimination complaints in both English and Spanish. Now, that settlement was supposed to last for about 3 years, right? So right now, they would be in year 2 of that agreement. So now that leads us to this nicely timed ICE raid that just happened to happen. I mean, here you have a facility that was knowingly employing undocumented immigrants who went to court because they were mistreated. Now, that company is supposed to no longer be able to mistreat those employees. And then, funny enough, here comes ICE to raid the whole facility. Very, very interesting here. What a lucky break for that company. Wow. Now, you might think, okay, look, that sounds a bit convenient, right? But is it a conspiracy? Are they actually literally retaliating against those employees for telling on these terrible working conditions? Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. This isn't the first time this has happened. Now, I want to go here to Mike Elk of Payday Report, right? So now he also found that there have been at least 2 other plants, one in Salem, Ohio, and another in Morristown, Tennessee, where ICE raids have followed complaints of worker conditions. Interesting. Last year, for example, OSHA fined Freshmark over $200,000 for 3 separate incidents in which proper safety guards were not in place in its Salem meatpacking plant. A week later, they ended up just getting raided by ICE. 1 week. Coincidence? I think not. There had to have been somebody at this plant who was like, these workers are getting just a little too uppity. Actually hitting us for fines. They just cost us money. Hey, ICE, I'm going to give them a call. You don't think that happens? course it happens. And this is all while the people who employed these undocumented immigrants and mistreated them face no legal consequence for hiring them. Now, they did face some consequence in losing money, but no personal consequence. These corporations have money stashed aside to handle legal disputes. Now, the United Food and Commercial Workers Union, which represents many of these plant workers, is now concerned about this. And they say, well, these ICE raids, they believe, will discourage workers from reporting unsafe conditions because of this retaliation. And so the thinking is that these companies will now rely on the fear of these ICE raids to help them be better able to exploit these migrant workers. Hey, man, look, you better not report these unsafe conditions. Why? Because we're going to report you to ICE. You're going to get arrested, your family's going to get ripped apart, and you're going to be deported to another country. So keep your mouth shut and do whatever we tell you to. You work in our unsafe conditions. You know, you take our harassment, and in some cases, sexual harassment, as showed at this Morton plant, and you shut up and you like it, because if you report it, you're done. You're going back to your home country. This is sick and disgusting. I mean, these people, again, they're already attacked, exploited, scapegoated for a lot of problems, and by the President of the United States. And now they also work in unsafe conditions, which, by the way, they do work. And here's the thing. They work and they pay taxes. These are not lazy people, right? They're working in conditions that American workers would not even tolerate. And American workers tolerate way too much already. And yet there is that line. And so these people that are working at this plant right now, no, they're getting far worse than what we would ever get as Americans. So this is gross. I mean, again, this is a case of stay in line, accept our terrible treatment. We're going to get you deported if you don't, because our entire purpose here is to exploit you. It is super, super gross. But again, this is everything I have come to expect from corporate America. And it has to change. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.